Hi, it's been a while. So, as you can see, a few things have changed in my absence. As for example, I got a new camera. What the f? So my battery just decided to die. I got a new camera, which means no more cheap videos. Today in this video, I'm going to tell you how social media has affected my art in both a positive and, surprise, surprise, a negative way. But yeah, I'm finally back and I'm actually planning on staying, because unlike all the other dads, I actually return with the milk. Could you please subscribe? Thanks. Alright, starting with the root of all evil. The likes. God fucking damn it. I remember the time when I was around 13. I had a personal account with like 100 followers, and all I've really done was post some retarded selfies. I mean, you know what I mean. No? Just me? Whatever. And I was like, damn, that's so much. I thought. Fast forward, I deleted that account, thank God. But a few years later, I created an art account on both Instagram and TikTok. And having now millions of views and thousands of likes, we all know how that story ends. It's never enough! Now, specifically the decline of engagement has affected. Now, specifically the decline in engagement has probably affected me and every other creator that is basically out there. So the question arises for everyone, how did this affect my art? Now, since this is a serious topic, I think it's time to leave the jokes behind and actually come and talk a little bit face to face. So, where do I start? Now, before I touch on the problem of social media, I think I should first talk about how this is all partially my fault. To do that, let's take a quick look on how I view the world. In this life as a human being, I think wherever you have the control, wherever you can make a decision, all the consequences that come after this are partially your fault. I decided to post on social media. It was my decision to go onto social media. Now, on the other hand, if you, for example, get terminally ill or something that is totally out of your control, in this matter of fact, this is not your fault. You couldn't have done anything except maybe you had a shitty diet. And now that you know that, there's some advice that helped me that I want to share in the end of the video with you. But to that later, let's now talk about the problem with social media. I think it's safe to say that you could view social media as kind of a drug. And I'm speaking not just for the consumer, but also for the creator. As for the consumers, it's a well-known fact that the companies try to make you stay as long as possible on the platform. Which is why TikTok, in fact, is so destructive, because you look one video, swipe, next video, and you don't even notice that you already swiped 150 times. As for the creator, it's the external reward, likes. Now, I told you how my story started, how I created my art account, but I never told you how I got into this endless cycle in the first place. So in the very beginning, I just started posting art out of pure habit. I just had the urge to draw Itachi, and I saw that I had some skill, like some sort of skill. I wasn't that bad, and it definitely looked like Itachi, and so I thought, why not share it on social media? I mean, I didn't have social media back then. I also kind of wanted to be part of the internet again, because I was so cut out of everything. And so I started posting. But little did I know that 1 or 2 years after that, I would grow a bigger and bigger community, which is something I would have never thought was possible in the first place. And so I went from 100 followers to 300 followers to 3,000 followers to 30,000 followers, and so on and so on. And I think the cherry on top was when I started TikTok and got those millions of views and all this exposure. And so now I got into this cycle like a little hamster running after the engagement, after the likes. It can be quite destructive to see all those likes that you got, all those views that you got suddenly go like... And so, what did 18-year-old me do? I started chasing those likes. And now we come to the actual core of the video, how it affected my art. There are a few consequences that came with this. I narrowed it down to 3 main problems, 3 main consequences, so it's an easier time for you to follow. Starting with number 1, this is the most crucial, the most destructive out of all. I forgot it. My entire focus on art shifted all the way to social media. Instead that I was focusing on getting better at art, I was pretty much stuck, like all the stepsisters out there. No, but for real, there isn't much to say. You saw it in the cinematic yourself. All I was basically doing is hopping from one trend to the other, trying to find the thing that gives me the most likes, the most engagement. And so I stopped developing my art and simply went on looking on how I can get out as much content as possible. Which now comes with the side effect of social media. It also pressures you to stay on the platform, to stay active on the platform. And how does it do that? As soon as you stop posting, you become irrelevant. And that is not only social media's fault by dropping your engagement totally. It's just also that we live in a world where everything's just fast-paced. Bomb, next video. Bomb, next person. Bomb, next video. We can see like 1,000 different people in like 5 seconds. And so it's pretty difficult to stay relevant unless you constantly stay active, constantly put out content. Unless you're really unique and like leave a big mark. But for that, you have to get big in the first place. And so I was mentally exhausted drawing one character after the other, one head after the other, seeing, oh damn, I missed that. I basically put out deadlines for myself, and this pressure of social media kind of became my own pressure. So I started pressuring myself more and more and more and be like, dude, finish your drawing in time. You're not gonna get all the likes. And so the second consequence, that is kind of a consequence of the first consequence, is that I stopped drawing what I like. It's because the very core of my art back then was that I had a specific emotion that I tried to express through my art. And so when I was sad, I drew a sad character. When I was happy, I drew a happy character, and so on. You get the idea. Yeah, that kind of fell off. This whole phenomenon that happened was that my art became dead. Now, I don't know if you know this feeling, but imagine looking at an artwork and you just feel empty. There's just nothing inside of you. When you look at it, there's no emotion. There's no excitement. There's no sadness. Nothing. It's just empty. And that was the case with my art. It looked cool, of course, but there was nothing in it. It's like a robot having human skin on. There's just something missing inside of it. And now let's come to the final consequence. Copyright. Since I had a tough time getting out of this cycle, because as soon as I started posting something original, something of me, it was kind of garbage. The engagement dropped totally, and so my brain was like, no, we can't do this anymore. And so I went back to trend hopping. My entire belief was to always be original, always be unique, and that also kind of got destroyed. Basically, I destroyed my entire self just to get a few likes. The main problem with copyright is I know there are like 1 million people that sell anime art that is in fact copyrighted, but of course the big companies aren't going to go hunting for some not thirsty artists, hungry artists, starving artists, that's it. But for me, this is less of a selling thing, more of a moral thing. If this is not my thing, my idea, my creation, then for me, I'm just stealing. I'm just copying. And I don't want that. And it's harder to get out of the cycle than you think, especially talking about the first positive thing now about social media, is that after all these doors are now open to you, now that you built your community, you suddenly have so many opportunities. You can start selling your art. You can do this, you can do that. You can meet new people, you can collaborate. And all there is growing more and more and more and more. And yeah, the only problem I had was that I was growing with the things that I didn't want to grow with. I didn't want anime hats to be my future. I wanted art to be my future. After you had your first encounter with popularity, especially for young people, it is very destructive because we're still in development, so it becomes a big problem for us to control ourselves too. I'm currently 19 years of age, and yeah, I'm still pretty damn young, of course, but I definitely learned 1 or 2 things out of this misery. But yeah, now I'm going to come to the last point, the last positive point, which is that without social media, I probably wouldn't have pursued art as a career. Because without it, I probably would have never encountered all the possibilities that you had as an artist. As I noticed my community was growing, I got kind of an acknowledgement that I have it in me, I can do it, which is also what made me go into the cycle in the first place. So you can imagine it as a double-edged sword. And yeah, there's nothing much more to say to it rather than it just helped me on my journey. Every defeat is also a lesson, to be a little philosophical. And now to come to my advice that I want to give to you people. Separate yourself emotionally from all the engagement and all the likes, but keep an eye on the performance so you can still grow your channel, you can still grow your community. The most important thing is that you continue to develop your skills, because there are also a lot of opportunities outside of social media where you don't need social media to grow as an artist or a writer or whatever. You just don't bend yourself for social media. Don't do it. Another important thing is that you should be careful on how you react to things. If you experience some sort of trauma or tragic event, of course it will be devastating, but after some time, you will have the decision whether you want to stay on the ground or you want to stand up and move on. And there are generally two types of people. One will stay down, one will use this thing as an excuse for basically everything. As for example, I didn't grow up with a father, and I could start blaming everybody. I could start blaming this shit out of my life and be like, I didn't grow up with a father, I don't have these opportunities, I didn't have that, I didn't have that. Or you could just move on. Basically start being responsible. And yeah, that's it. Bye.